Okay, Assalamualaikum and very good morning to all. Okay, so today we will start our class, which is the Manufacturing Technology 2, okay, EPP331, which is I'm the lecturer, Dr. Mazlan, from the School of Mechanical Engineering. So for this class, okay, there will be 3 lecturers and I'm the one, okay. Uh, and another 2 is Dr. Fahana and Dr. Yusof. Okay, so before that, I want to welcome all of you uh, to USM, even though it's online, but uh, let's start the new semester with a new uh, determination, okay, and have fun. Okay, so this is some background of myself. Okay, so basically I get my degree from Waseda University, Japan, okay, in 2008, okay, in mechanical engineering. And then I'm working as an engineer for 2 years, okay, and after that I continue my master and PhD in Universiti Sains Malaysia, and my field of expertise is sound and vibration. Okay, so there will be another expertise also that including active vibration control, structural dynamic modification, piezoelectric material on the sensor and actuator, and also some dynamic modeling and simulation lah. Okay, later on in your final year when you're interested to do some research in this area, so we can meet again lah. Okay, so let's start with the course overview. Okay, so basically these subjects, okay, the course objective, okay, the overall course objective is to introduce to you the principles and practice in engineering production process using your various manufacturing techniques. Okay, so basically when you go to the industry after this, when you become engineer, you will exposure in a lot of device, machines, and of course the various manufacturing process of your company products. So this course will help you on the plastic, okay, glass, composites, and also metal processing. That is a advance of the what you have learned in second year, which is EPP201, Manufacturing Technology 1, and this is the scope that advance of your study in the previous subject. Okay, so for my part, I call it part 1 is because this is the topic that I cover. Okay, so basically the course outcome for my part is to understand the basic concept of machine tools, okay, the technology, and also to provide some background of importance of machining, and also to reduce the machining cost lah. So this is cover for your program outcome, is project management and finance. Okay, so basically uh, this is to explain to you more about the machining process, such as using the CNC machine. Okay, and then what is the problem? Okay, and what is the advanced technology that we have currently, and some of the calculation that you have to know when you become engineer later, how you want to produce part with a minimum cost but in the higher productivity, higher production. That is the what we call the uh, effective range for the company to get the profits basically. Okay, so basically this is the textbook that will be used. Okay, maybe you can find it or you already have it, and this is the main reference lah, okay, for the class. Okay, so maybe you can have it online or you can have it soft copy version. Okay, but what is important is this is the reference that we will use during this subject. Okay, so basically during the face-to-face class you need to prepare like paper, pencils, calculator. So because there is some of calculation, and maybe during the online class also, maybe you have a pen and pencil in your hand so that everything that come in your mind you can note it. Okay, even though it's just online class, but there's something that can make you more understand if you always take a notes during your lecture. Okay, so my part is a part one, so I just covered 2 weeks. Okay, because later on you will meet me again on the mechatronic subjects. So for this subject I just covered for 2 weeks in the under one chapter. Okay, so for this week, for this lecture is just an introduction and overview of the subjects, and at the end of the class I will show you the group formation and what's important for the groups to do some of the assessment later on. And after that, there will be two parts of the online class, which is on the chapter 25. The part A we cover on the machining center, okay, turning center, machining tool structure, and also the CNC technology lah. Okay, and then the second part, which is I call it part B later on. This is a vibration and charter in machining. Okay, the problem in machining process. Okay, the type of machine center that we have, basically high speed, hard and ultra precision machine, and also finally the machining economics, which involves some calculation for you to know. Okay, and as an engineer, and later on from that you will have just one assessment from my part, which is including the lab, the report, and some assignment lah. Okay, so this will be given at the end of the after finish the chapter 25 lecture. Okay, so the overall course evolution, okay, we have decided as of now there will be final exam for the subject is the COVID-19 is and you can come back to USM, then you should attend the final exam 40% lah. But in the middle, if there are any of the agencies of different of the direction from the government, maybe we will announce you later lah. But as of now, you still have the final exam for these subjects. But the coursework is increased basically from 40% to 60% for this semester. So the arrangement will be 10% for my part, 20%, 25% for Dr. Fahana, and another 25% from Dr. Yusof. They will explain later in detail what is the detail of element for this percentage. Okay. So for my part, as I mentioned before, you will have a lab report and assignment. Okay, we together in one assessment. Okay. So the as a user, the passing mark is 40%, okay, for the subject. Okay, so basically, previous year we have conduct some industrial visit to make the student exposure to the industrial manufacturing process. Like in 2014, we visit the Coroza system company in Ibn Tabal, so that student can have the exposure on the real manufacturing process that also related to this subject. Okay. Okay, so we go to the general introduction of these subjects. So why is important to learn these manufacturing process subjects? Okay, manufacturing technology. Because when you become an engineer, for example, you become an engineer at the automotive company like Proton or Produa, and you involve in the design or manufacturing engineer for the engine. Okay, so when you go to this picture, okay, there's a lot of material here. This is the example of section of an automotive engine for the Duratec V6 using various components and material in making them. Okay, so for this engine, what you can see, there's a lot of materials. Okay, which are different types. It's a polymer, brass, aluminium, ceramic. Okay, graphite, okay, copper. So each of this material and the shape of the structure of the engine involve a difference of manufacturing process. Okay, so that's why it is quite important for you to learn this subject and what you can implement later when you become an engineer. Okay. So let's see the components of products, parts in each of the products. Okay, for example, we have in the table here, okay, like a rotary lawnmower and only have 300 parts in that products. Okay, up to the Boeing, okay, the aeroplane 747, there is more than 6 million parts in that products. We call it aeroplane as a products. So all of the products, what we if we explained before, it involve different of manufacturing process, and maybe you in charge some of the specific parts. So as an engineer, you need to learn on how possibility of the production of the product lah. Okay, so the some product are single components like nail bolts, okay, hanger, okay, and some product are assemblies of the many components what we have in the table here lah. Like for example, the simple one, the ball pens, okay, the washing machine also quite complicated basically, automotive, the vehicle, and all the components are manufactured. Okay, basically they are all manufactured, and basically there's a history in this manufacturing words that is basically transferred in terms of made by hand. Okay, so basically manufacturing is in our previous years. Okay, like in the historical areas, they is called made by hand because everything is manufactured, and in that time is made by hand. There is no machine before that. So that's the originality of the words. Okay. So say there will be some of the material selection process. Okay, for example, we have a paper clip here. Okay, so maybe we can have a different type of paper clip, and there's some question that you may think about it. Okay, so basically the first thing is what is the material properties that required. Okay, so we can see here there's a plastic and also the metal, so we can know each of the material properties for this paper clip. Okay, so what is the manufacturing attributes are required. So when you want to from the basically is from the cylindrical type of the uh, aluminium or plastic, and how it can be bent to become like this. So it involves some of the detailed manufacturing process. Okay, so that is the thing that you have to know also. And also, would the material and processing strategy change if the desired quantity is 10,000 versus 1 million per day? Okay, so if you are the owner of the company of this paperclip product, so in one day you want to produce 10,000 or 1 million, so is it change the type of machine, the process and everything lah. Okay, so for example, let's say you want to produce a small scale one of the plastic product, maybe can you just use a 3D printer, right? But when you involve a very huge amounts of products, maybe you should consider using the injection molding. So that's the differences that you have to think about it. And another thing is the assembly process. Okay, we all know the light bulbs. Okay, it's in everywhere in your house, school. Okay, this is some of the important steps and components. Okay, we can see this is the components of common light bulb. Okay, and this is the manufacturing step in making the light bulbs. Okay, so basically we can see this is just a simple light bulb, but basically to assemble it, it involves at least a 6 process of step. Okay, from this number 1 until it become a number 6 here, a complete one. So this is also when you go to the company, it's not using a manual assembly lah. Basically, it's using a machine, and what type of machine that necessary to assembly that. Okay. So let's go to the general of the what we call it as you if you have you working in a company, or you have the owner of the company, or even the engineer, you should know the whole process in product in produce the product. Okay. So this is 2 figures here. This is more detailed. You can go through it, but I want to just focus in this general one. This is chart showing the general product flow in the concurrent engineering from the market analysis to the selling of the product. So okay, let's say you are working, you are engineer in Proton, okay, for example, okay, and then of course your rival or your competitor is Prodor, okay. So for the current vehicle C type, for example, the small one like the Iris and MIV, okay. So as you are an engineer, what the latest version in the market that you have to know, okay, what the like, demand in the market. So you can do a what you call it, the benchmarking, okay, the market survey here, okay. You can go to the MyV and you can see a detail of the components and part inside or outside the car, and then you can determine the specification, okay, what is the specification of uh, the specific function, okay, in the car. And then later on, when you come back to the company, you have to think about your originality lah, the concept design, what you have done in your first year, okay, conceptual design and CAD using CATIA and SolidWorks. And then after the confirmation of the design, you can go to the detail design, okay, how to assembly everything. And then later on, you pass to the manufacturing department to manufacture, and finally you can come up with a complete car system to sell it lah, okay. Okay, so the next thing is, what is the problem that you will face later on when you are in the manufacturing process, okay, of the products. So there's some of good and poor design. For example, when you design the spring here, you must make sure that it can insert it properly in the casing, okay. It's not like this, okay. And also when you design this the tab here, okay, make sure it's a fit, okay. It's not when you put inside the casing it become like this, stuck like this. And then to design the spring itself, we have to make sure it's a good design which the tangle only under pressure, okay, it can stand, okay. When you finishing the end, the starting and the end like this, so it's a poor design basically for the spring. For the assembly process, for example, there's no overlapping like this, okay. Maybe it can fit, okay, in the structure like this, okay. And finally, when you want to design a fixing system, okay, like a bolt or nut, it should be the air relief point here, okay, okay, the holes, so that's it, no high pressure, and then the part will be easily break lah. Make sure that, because when we want to tie it, okay, there's a pressure, and then make sure there's a air relief holes, so that's the part will sustain in a long time, okay. So there's a lot of process, but I'm covered on the machining using CNC. So this is some of the important of machining for the metal using CNC machines. So for the machining, there's a lot of process like turning, okay, drilling, okay, milling and broaching. I think most of you are familiar enough to this process, as you will go to the amalan filter and also the manufacturing technology one that also already explained all about this. And here there are some advanced machining like wire EDM, okay, chemical machining, laser machining, and also water jet machining lah. This is what we call a more advanced. And also we must involve when we are doing a metal, plastic or glass composite or any of material. Basically we have to do some of finishing process to get the final shape and the best of the components that we can do lah. Okay, so basically we have will involve a surface grinding, okay, centerless grinding, lapping, and also electrochemical polishing lah. So there's a lot more, but this is some of the example, okay. So let's see the process of the CNC turning machine. Here we have a video for you, okay. If not clear, then later on you can view it by yourself lah using the YouTube, this YouTube link, okay. Okay, so that's basically the process. Okay, involve a machining process and also the finishing process during the turning and lead machine, for examples that basically involve, okay, in the machining process lah. Okay, so you can see again if you want to get more understanding on that. Okay, so there's another example of application of CAD and CAM in making a sunglasses mold. Okay, so let's say the first step is basically you can computer model of the sunglass. Okay, as design and view on the monitor. Okay, you have involved and you can design it using the CATIA or SolidWorks. Okay, uh, and then you can go to the CNC machine. Okay, machine the die cavity using a CNC computer numerical control milling machines. Okay, so from this, and then later you become a mold lah, and mold and insert in the injection molding, and then that you can come out with a final plastic product like this. Okay. Okay, so the last slide on this introduction chapter, just want to highlight on the typical cost breakdown in manufacturing. So if we have 100% of cost basically to manufacturing some product, so this is basically the distribution of the cost lah. The highest cost is basically of course from the material of the product itself. Okay, and then the 5% is from the design process, and another 45% is divided by the for the labor lah, which is direct labor 15% and indirect labor lah, with 30%. Okay, indirect labor is something that you have to allocate the money because sometimes you have to outsource the engineer manpower itself. Sometimes it's not sufficient for the company. You have to involve in the some of the your vendor or your third party companies, which call it indirect labor. Okay. Okay, so just for the end of the class, I have already attached the list of group, okay, for the EPP331. So what is the important for your group is, uh, okay, so for each group is consist of 5 person, okay, in this combination of men, women, and also the multiracials. And then the group is formed to conduct group assessment activity, okay, such as the project report, okay, the presentation, lab report, and etc. Okay, each person in the group must play his or her roles in completing the group assessment. It's not a one man job. Okay, because in each of the assessment given of the group assessment, you should list, you should make the table, and you should explain each of the person in charge what is his task. Okay, for example, there's a 8 question in the assessment. Maybe you can divide the question one to answer one of the question lah, which is 6, so you can divide it properly. Okay, we don't want that. Even though it's a group assessment, you should work in a group lah, not the personal assessment. Okay, so the group list will be announced. It's already announced basically, but if any of your name is missing, you can inform me or Dr. Fahana as the course manager. Okay, I think that's all for today. Okay, we'll meet the next session later on for the chapter 25. Thank you very much. Also, if you have any question, maybe you can ask at the comment of the YouTube video. Later on, we upload in the YouTube video. You can ask your question at the comment. Okay. Okay, thank you very much.